大家好, I'm Nathan Rich, aka Wang. If you're one of the relatively few supporters I have, you've no doubt heard me comment occasionally about how some anti-Chinese outlets are just regurgitating the same boring mainstream message of hate as everyone else. They're too intellectually weak to question the narrative spoon-fed to them. But even the occasional English teacher who decides that he or she is an expert on hating China isn't the worst thing out there, to be honest. Because they have just accidentally stumbled upon a position in this game. They are just signal boosters in this discussion with nothing original to add. There are, however, deliberate groups in this drama, and in what will likely become a series of videos, today I will breach the defenses of one such group. I previously had been waiting to get enough support to feel comfortable challenging such a massive, powerful group, but I've decided that amount of support is likely never coming. And so I've decided to just go ahead and begin this confrontation that will certainly have consequences to me personally. My online popularity, channel, and progress may not survive much longer. Those who know me know it was never about that in the first place though. It's always been about not allowing people to make up lies and mistruths about the country I live in, China. And there's one source of anti-Chinese propaganda like no other, hell-bent on creating war. This monster has many names. China Uncensored is just one of them. Remember when I crushed one of China Uncensored's videos into tiny pieces of trash? This is so simple to do for me that it's almost boring. That particular video highlighted China Uncensored's appetite for war with China. But this Chris Chappell fellow, as we'll see, clearly doesn't have much to do with the message.
Whereas Qigong usually is just about doing exercises to keep fit and healthy, Falun Gong goes beyond that and requires its practitioners to live their lives based on three dangerous, subversive principles: truth, compassion, and tolerance.
Someone else is squirting information into his gray sponge cake. But who? To find out, let's start from the beginning. Chris Chappell, in his own words, I got really sick when I was 19 and went to the hospital. The doctors said I might have some rare heart virus, and I had a friend who was practicing some Chinese Qigong exercises. He showed me those exercises, and I immediately got better the next day. The doctors had no idea what was going on, I had no idea what was going on, and they discharged me from the hospital. Qigong, that's a really vague term, basically meaning Chinese exercises. A white 19-year-old kid in New York healed a heart virus with a single day of Chinese exercise. Well, at least it's not that Falun Gong cult hiding behind the slogan, truth, compassion, and tolerance you just mentioned. Just Qigong exercises. Then he goes on to talk about how great China Uncensored is doing from Trump being in office, which is driving up the fear of China markedly, and mentions several things he hates about China. And then he ends the interview by saying, Taiwan is doing pretty well even though it's not even really a country. I do believe there's a lot to learn from the 5,000 years of Chinese history. I hear you, Chris Chappell from China Uncensored. Taiwan most assuredly is not a country, and it is doing pretty well. And there is a lot to learn from China's history. Though the way you said that kinda sounds like you wanna sell me something. Okay, so then anyway, China Uncensored was born. And their first video was something about the movie Looper in China. Yep. In October 2012. We can even see a later comment by someone who are here to watch the first YouTube video made by China Uncensored. But if we look at a now deleted version of Chris's Twitter, we find that actually the first video by China Uncensored was not about the movie Looper. No, it was a 3-part marathon about something called Falun Gong. Falun Gong is an extreme racist doomsday UFO cult. No, I'm not being hyperbolic. I was born and raised in Scientology before I eventually got out of it. I know a UFO cult when I see one. And in China Uncensored videos, Chris talked about Falun Gong so much over the years, it's actually surprising.
Falun Gong is a spiritual practice. Falun Gong, 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 Falun Gong.
Oddly though, he's never described them as a cult, nor detailed their beliefs. The closest he seems to come is vaguely saying that they're influenced by Buddhism and that they practice Qigong, the Chinese exercises. This is like saying Scientology is a stress relief therapy. Chris tries to bring up Falun Gong as much as he can, but without alerting his followers to this fact. Take, for example, this recent comment. Look at you promoting cult here on YouTube. Or this one. Or this one, in which someone specifically asks, could you clarify your link with Falun Gong? Chris replies twice, but never answers the question. The way he communicates reminds me of my cult family. They too speak about truth, but they don't have the courage to tell any. Anyway, it seems that pressure was mounting on China Uncensored because a few months ago they released a video telling you the truth about their funding.
More than 1 million subscribers. Who really funds China Uncensored? Mostly you. 72% of our income comes from direct viewer support.
Wow, over 1 million subscribers. It's true. Let me show you on Social Blade the social media metrics counter. China Uncensored. That's not the right channel. Weird. Anyway, this video is about funding.
Well, some people have suggested we're funded by the CIA or Falun Gong. We're not.
Oh, this isn't just a video about funding. People are saying that Falun Gong is making China Uncensored. And this is your video dispelling the rumors. Carry on.
And with no single big funders, no one can tell us what stories to cover or how to cover them.
You're independent. Got it. No one's feeding you anything to tell us. Thanks for finally ending any stupid ideas that China Uncensored is just a front for Falun Gong.
Our small team produces 3 to 4 YouTube episodes of China Uncensored every week.
Well, double that because you also have America Uncovered, which is another channel largely focused on hating China, and you have a podcast about hate, plus your clan meetups, lots of travel itineraries, multiple Patreons, Twitters, Facebook pages, merchandising, apps, websites, all the research, graphics, music, logistics, on and on. Not at all a small operation, but you're clearly trying to convince us that it is for some reason. So let's just go with it. Sure, China Uncensored is just 4 people, and none of them have anything to do with Falun Gong or its propaganda network, New Tang Dynasty.
And on top of that, we also turned those episodes into a half-hour TV show version, which we give to New Tang Dynasty Television.
So in addition to all that work I already mentioned, apparently you also have time to make a separate TV version. That's a lot of work. And, okay, I see. So you just give New Tang Dynasty these videos and nothing more. That sounds kind of suspicious, but come on everybody, let's take his word for it.
The network started by Falun Gong practitioners.
Started by Falun Gong practitioners? This is New Tang Dynasty you're talking about. The staff of NTD literally call the leader of Falun Gong their master when he gives them the instructions on how to operate. I'm not making this up. This is a matter of public record. New Tang Dynasty was started by Falun Gong practitioners because it literally is a propaganda arm of the Falun Gong. It serves no other purpose.
New Tang Dynasty doesn't pay us, but they do put Chinese subtitles on every episode.
Well, Chris, I guess you've proven that you're independent. NTD doesn't have anything to do with you. They just add some subtitles. That's nice of them. And, oh, sorry guys, I'm still trying to show you the metrics for China Uncensored on Social Blade, but I just can't find your channel for some reason. It's not coming up when I try the name China Uncensored. New Tang Dynasty, NTD. Their channels on YouTube are sometimes made with the same prefix, like NTD on music or NTD Japanese. I wonder, no, might as well try. Oh, what do you know? The name NTD China Uncensored pulls up your channel. And that's because the username of your channel is, for some reason, NTD China Uncensored. And now that I think about it, didn't I see NTD all over the place in your video descriptions? Weird. That is so weird. But anyway, sorry, go on, Chris.
Right now we're trying to save money by recording this show in a low-budget way, which happens to be a green screen taped to the wall of Matt's living room.
Right now, you're shooting in a living room. Right now, like for this particular video. You know, Chris, I totally believe you that you guys shoot in a living room. And that's beneath you. Maybe you should try using a studio for this kind of thing. Here, I'll help you find one. Let's start by looking where, I don't know, New Tang Dynasty is located. 229 West 28th Street, New York, New York, 10001. Oh, here we go. There is a studio there called Big Apple Studios at the exact same address. They do work for various Falun Gong organizations, part of the propaganda apparatus. Well, anyway, you're welcome for helping you find them. Oh, hang on. It looks like you do use this studio after all. Or wait, is that you?
Good evening and welcome to the Big Apple Studios. I'm your host, Jason Smith.
Weird. So weird that you use NTD in your channel name and you use a studio in the same building as NTD. And who is this small team you mentioned earlier anyway? You've got credits on this video, the one talking about how you have nothing to do with NTD or Falun Gong. Let's see here. Your team is Zhang, Matt Gnizda, Seamus Light, and Chris Chappell. Okay, so just 4 people, none of which are New Tang Dynasty Falun Gong death cultists. Zhang. Where do I know that name from? I feel like it came up during my research somewhere. Oh, that's right. I know it from here, from New Tang Dynasty. Producer? That's weird, Chris. Oh, and Matt Gnizda? Oh, he's from New Tang Dynasty. China analyst. Oh, I'm sure he's really insightful. But Chris, did you not know about this somehow? I hope you haven't been busy doing all these totally non-Falun Gong Chinese exercises to notice all these Falun Gong cultists around you. Oh, sorry, I almost forgot about Seamus. Seamus Light. This Seamus Light, the video editor at NTD. Wait, video editor? Isn't that what you credit him for, video editing? How could that be true, Chris, unless NTD were creating China Uncensored? Oh, never mind. No need to answer that. He's put it on his website for all to see. He works at New Tang Dynasty. And what does he do there? He's a video editor for China Uncensored. It turns out that Falun Gong directly creates China Uncensored. But how could this be, Chris? How could literally every single person in your team be Falun Gong zealots without you knowing? I mean, you said you healed yourself after you did some stretches or something. And what else did you say again?
While some people have suggested we're funded by the CIA or Falun Gong, we're not.
You're not Falun Gong. And clearly you're a truthful person, knowledgeable in all things mainland China. I mean, just check out that background you've got there. I see buildings from Shanghai, Beijing. Is that Guangzhou? Nice. But I mean, come on, Chris. You haven't even been here before, have you? That background isn't real. It's fake. Intended to suggest to your viewers that you understand China. But that's not all it's suggesting to them. Chris, your followers are too stupid to see you for who you are. But I know cults. I know you probably better than you know yourself. Did you think that you could fool me? A yellow item rotating on a blue square. White patterns scrolling in boxes. And these 3 squares. Let's adjust sharpness, saturation, and zoom. On the right, we have a red shape with a blue background. In the center, a yellow shape with a blue background. On the left, a smaller red shape, which alternates to a green shape. Your completely dishonest misrepresentation of facts about China is why I have always dismissed your followers as idiots, Chris. But maybe I need to learn to be a little bit more compassionate to them. Even smart people can be fooled, I suppose. Let's see where these graphics came from. That's right. Even as Chris Chappell is telling you to your face that Falun Gong NTD is not behind his message, they are literally right behind him. The spinning yellow shape in blue, Falun Gong garbage. The white patterns moving around are copies of the globe of a Falun Gong set. You see, my dear viewers, it turns out that Chris was lying about Qigong. That's what he tells people these days. In an older interview with Epoch Times, one of the other Falun Gong propaganda outlets, you won't find this interview in either of Chris's two dedicated sections on Epoch Times' website. Nor will they tell you about these interviews if you go and visit Epoch Times at the exact same address as Big Apple Studios in NTD. Epoch Times interviewed Falun Gong practitioners. I guess they call each other practitioners a lot. Where have I heard that before?
Falun Gong practitioners, 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 Falun Gong practitioners.
Anyway, Epoch Times interviewed Falun Gong practitioners after their master spoke to them. One of them was Chappell from New York. He said he began practicing Falun Gong in 2004 when he was 19. That's right, China Uncensored is Falun Gong, the entire staff is Falun Gong, Chappell is Falun Gong, and he has been the entire time. Years before China Uncensored ever began, Chris was spreading the beliefs of Falun Gong. Beliefs like extreme anti-race mixing, by the way. Beliefs which are completely contrary to any notion of compassion. Beliefs like going to a racially segregated afterlife. That's not a joke. Beliefs like that are the opposite of tolerance. But speaking of jokes, let's take a look at some of his early work in the cult. He's said in several places across the internet that him and the rest of his team were journalists. So let's take a look at some of that journalist work that he's done. He began by copying Jim Carrey and then moved on to hot dog eating competitions, then violin competitions.
Chappell brings us the sights and sounds from New York City.
Merkin Hall is once again playing host to NTD's Chinese International Violin Competition.
And dance competitions.
Chappell takes us to a very special part of a traditional Chinese culture. Let's have a look.
Muscles, strained and taut, bend at impossible angles. NTD's 2010 International Chinese Dance Competition has begun. This is Chappell, NTD, New York.
Designed to attract attention and talent to Yuen, a dance troupe that spreads propaganda for, you guessed it, Falun Gong. Every program Chris was on was NTD, Falun Gong all the time, the classic echo chamber effect.
Do you guys remember Take Your Kids to Work Day? My dad worked for UPS, so I got to spend the day on an awesome truck.
And by 2012, Chris's master had him channel his attention to pushing for World War III.
Chappell 是新唐人著名的节目主持人。
Excessive, continuous, misleading, inaccurate, and biased media pressure on China. Falun Gong created China Uncensored and continues to back it in every way. 100% of the China Uncensored team, including Chris, is part of the Falun Gong propaganda force. Their mission is to create war with China. They will never, ever stop until that happens. It's not a joke. But more on that in another video. Chris has adopted truth as the first principle in his life. Yet he's a complete liar. When you examine how he speaks, especially about Falun Gong, it's always slippery, vague, incomplete. Never honest, is it? You want to see what honesty looks like, Chris? I took no money to make this video. The amount I will make off of it will not even be worth my time. I created this video completely myself, except for the subtitles. I edited it. And I did 100% of the research with no help from anyone. And while we're being honest, Chris, well, while I'm being honest, I often feel like I'm the only foreigner who gives a damn about this issue. And it's depressing to care so much about something and see so many people fall for the dirty tricks of warmongers like you. That's honesty, Chris. If you believe some guy living in New York is your master and medicine is bad and all that other crazy Falun Gong crap about demons and energy balls, just come out and say it. Be honest. Be true. Forget China Uncensored. Be Chris Uncensored. Tell the world how you feel about mixed race couples, Chris. Get your master on a video with you, and why don't you both tell us how you feel about other races? And guys, if you want to help me feel like I'm not the only person in the world who cares about China-US relations anymore, support these videos. Share them. The war dogs are vicious, and it's going to take a lot more than this to actually ward them off. Do you see what I've made here? You know how many videos I can do on this? So help out. But before I go, everyone, I just had to include some footage of what Chris is like when he's not reading a Falun Gong script. Classic stuff right here. Enjoy. Here's a great argument from Chris. His fellow Falun Gong cult member he's talking to says plastic surgery should be banned. And here's his very thoughtful reply.
Well, I mean, that's why there are regulations. It's not an unregulated field. Like there's, people have to be certified. There's a lot of steps to go through to become a cosmetic surgeon. It's not like this run and gun thing in the back alley of New York.
That's right.
It's, people get consultation. It's treated as like serious surgery. So in the off chance something goes wrong, I think it would be silly to ban cosmetic surgery because there might be consequences of that. Because that really shouldn't be, when you say you want to ban something, that's involving the government in a decision people have of what they want to do with their money.
Right.
Which is really just a complicated thing. And that doesn't make sense. Like, people should be allowed to have cosmetic surgery if they want to.
And here's a great argument from Chris about the value of education.
Well, it's strange because like now they're saying like in the U.S. like it doesn't really matter. Like you don't need to go to the top schools. You'll just be paying a lot of more money for the same degree. Really, if you want to like go to a top school, you should wait till a graduate school program. Though there are still differences in the universities in the U.S. like Harvard, Yale. Those are still like big, world-renowned universities. So it does make a difference. But from what I'm hearing, it doesn't sound like it makes as much of a difference.
Well, the Chinese.
That is brutal. Dude, just stick to your master's script. See you, everyone. Don't believe everything you hear out there, guys. And no matter what these people say, it's okay to love China. Thanks, everybody. 谢谢.
I guess, though, the Times feel that the burden of proof is on the victims. That's how a sane world works, right?
Good point. Good point.
Falun Gong should be labeled a heretical organization.
I got to go to baseball game.